Welcome back everyone to our channel, which has a name now. So our channel is called, yeah, it does. The channel name is SOS, standing for Sharing Our Stories.
No. We fucking made it, Fano. We're out on good behaviour, the best possible outcome.
I guess the point of this channel that we want to create is sharing our own success stories, and a huge part of that is sharing our love story. And with that, as we journey on with this channel, the bigger picture would be to be having other people on and sharing their stories to success, because at the end of the day, success looks so different to everybody. It's not a one size fits all thing. And yeah, I think it's really empowering and inspiring to be hearing other people's journey to success. In the last episode, we touched on like our upbringing, a little bit of our schooling, and kind of how we knew of each other. And I guess this episode, I just wanted to dive in a little bit deeper into how did we meet in a nutshell.
First time I seen you, you were with a guy I went to school with, hanging out at the warehouse, and I remember you were really loud, and like, I was kind of like, hey, who's this loud chick? I've never seen you before.
Guys, I've always been extra, and in hindsight now, I can see that that was probably a little bit of like compensation for lack of confidence and a little bit of like attention seeking maybe.
But yeah, definitely caught my attention because she was very loud. And yeah, we're in a small town, so if we didn't know each other, it was more like, where did you come from? But a few years down the track, I ended up like going out with a chick, and Stevie was quite good friends with her at the time. And through that period of me going out with her, I became quite close with Stevie and another friend of hers, and also my best friend. We became like really close, and we'd always hang out, and we were literally just friends. We weren't interested in each other for a while anyway. So yeah, we actually like built like a really good friendship first. I feel
Major key.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a major key to like why we are and how we were able to last so long. It's because we really like got to know each other before anything was emotional,
Even sexual,
yeah,
like
sexual or
I think
anything like that.
it was really important for me feeling comfortable enough with you. Like, you know, we were already friends, so there was this level of, like, we already said that we loved each other as friends, and we already, like, I don't know, would like flirt in front of each other and random shit like that, you know, which is like...
We had already become that comfortable with each other that a lot of our barriers that you usually put up when you're trying to impress somebody that you like our relationship wasn't built like that, so we were never really trying to hide our flaws in front of each other. And I think that like built a really key foundation, because when we did start to build feelings for each other, because we had built that relationship, there was already this trust built. So when we did start to build feelings for each other, it was kind of like we both didn't want to muck this up, you know,
Yeah,
like, because
we had such a good friendship going on.
we didn't want to ruin what we did have. And then also our two best friends were involved, because they were kind of like a part of this
foursome that we've made.
This friendship that we had built, like, and it was really good. Like, and still to this day, you know, I consider them probably my closest friends, you know, like the people that I trust the most, that I genuinely care about the most. So when we did start feeling feelings for each other, it was kind of like,
we were very careful.
yeah, we were very cautious.
Slow.
We didn't rush anything, and we kind of just let everything happen naturally. Where it was a little bit awkward at the first, like, because we were friends and now we liked each other, and even for everyone else in our lives was kind of a little bit awkward. But
I remember though, like, it was like, because we were probably flirting for ages, I reckon.
yeah, ages.
And I was like, obviously I'm flirting, but like didn't know. I thought maybe you were, but like we'd never let on that we actually like each other. Like we'd never said those words. And I still remember like two things. George's birthday at the Mount. Do you remember that? When we went to the Mount for the day, and we were running along the beach, and you were like throwing jellyfish at me, and then we went back to George's mum, and me and you like slept next to each other, and it was like, oh my god, it's just so funny thinking of it now. And I'm thinking like, surely these cunts know, like surely it's so obvious, but it wasn't. They didn't even notice. So that was crazy. And then when we did tell our friends, because I still remember as well, like we'd always be texting like all the time back in the day when texting was a thing. I remember you asked me, or I asked you, like, who do you like? And it was like, you must have asked me, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, he wouldn't ask me that if he didn't like me shortly. And I still remember I was in our house in my hee sitting on the couch in the
I was
lounge.
in Jordan's house laying on a mattress in the lounge, or in the bedroom.
And
And I remember like shitting
sending the text
myself,
like,
saying
yeah.
I remember shitting myself, like, fuck, this is do or die, yeah, I'm either fucked or this is all good, you know, like, and I remember like,
I thought the
fuck.
same thing.
And I think I remember even now, I think I remember when when I received the message, like, I think it was like, yeah, like you or some shit like that, like, bro, I remember like this sense of like relief, but I remember going straight outside, like, having a ciggy. And I remember like sitting there all happy as, and like, George's come out, like, what do you have to do? And I'm just like, I can't remember if I told him or not, but I remember just sitting there wrapped as, sitting there smoking on the ciggy, like, yes, like, I got it. But at the same time, I was like super nervous as well because I was like, fuck, what's going to come of
Yeah,
this
the
now?
next
Like,
thing was like, now we have to tell our friends.
Yeah.
Because we
and I
knew
remember
that was a
too,
big
like
deal.
the next time we seen each other after like this texting, we like had to say goodbye, and it was like this super awkward, like, she was like, should we give you a hug, or like,
Do we
I
kiss?
kiss you? Like, and I think we just hugged, didn't we?
No, I think we did kiss. It was at George's dad.
Yeah. I remember it was at George's dad. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway, that was kind of like in the scheme of things of how we met and how we got together. But it still wasn't official until we went away for New Year's.
So that was a few months, I think, where we were just, we'd
Yeah.
admitted it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then, you asked me to be your girlfriend.
And then, yeah, it was New Year's Eve. And then at this point, too, we're out in the absolute middle of nowhere for this New Year's Eve party. That's how I always remember the date, was because of my nephew, but also because it was New Year's Eve. I think it was just before midnight or around midnight. I like grabbed Steve and we went for a walk down to like towards the beach. And yeah, I remember just asking Steve, like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And she was the first girl I'd ever like genuinely asked to be my girlfriend, like, and it felt like I was proposing, like it was that serious, like in my mind anyway. And then from that date, it was official, so.
I don't know why.
Yeah, same.
But I just felt like, nah, this is going to actually last. And in hindsight now, looking back, knowing kind of where both of our heads were at, like both of us wanted something serious. Now, 15 years later, pretty much.
Yes, it was 14.
It'll be 15 at the end
years.
of this year. Yeah.
So
it'll
yeah,
look
half
like
our
15.
lives.
Crazy.
Which is a pretty long time.
And like, yeah, I mean, you touched on it. I don't really talk about it heaps or in depth, but I was a totally different person back in those days. And even when we got together, right up until we moved here, right up until I would say I got blood poisoning is really when.
What, you reckon you changed?
Yeah, that was like my pivotal moment for me because, well, one, I thought I was going to die. Two, I thought my leg was going to be amputated. And three, I was just so sick of being sick all the time. Another thing, guys, why I am like passionate about taking care of yourself, looking after your health and all of these things, not abusing medicine and things like that, is because for most of my life, that's what I did. Like, ate unhealthy, barely drank any water, abused pharmaceuticals, like popping Panadol for the slightest headache, all of these things. And I was so sick, and it ended up in me getting blood poisoning. And that's when I vowed to myself, like, I need to start taking care of myself. I must have been like 21, just after my 21st, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it was.
And yeah, that was such a shitty time in my life. We went home for a holiday in New Zealand. We partied for our mates, 21st or 18th? One of those, must have been 21st. So yeah, I would have been 21. Went back for their 21st, partied hard, and somehow I got fucking blood poisoning. It doesn't really matter the details on how, but I got it. And we were at home for 3 weeks? 2 weeks? And I was like able for 1 week, and then by the end of that second week I was basically disabled and in hospital for the rest of the time. And it was my nana's birthday, so I missed out on that. Yeah, like so many things. And I'd planned all of this time to spend with my family that I never got, and I'd spent that first week out partying, so I felt real guilty. And that's when I knew, like, okay, something needs to change. I'd just kind of been going through as well, or maybe it was kind of around the same time when I started to realize, like, okay, something's not right with me. I'm like, something's wrong. And I'd never heard of depression and anxiety. I mean, of course you hear of depression, but you don't really give it any thought. But it turns out, yeah, that I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I was sick with this blood poisoning, and I just figured, like, fuck, I've so had enough, and I need to change. And a lot of that as well was mindset stuff. Like, man, my self-talk was disgusting. The way I spoke to other people was disgusting. Like, people who know me from when I lived in New Zealand probably don't have many nice things to say about me because of the person that I used to be back then. Very loud, I would say obnoxious, don't give any fucks about anyone else's feelings. Like, if you're like very much, I don't care if you're uncomfortable because like I want to be loud and just me, and yeah, I don't give a fuck about you. Whereas now I feel like I'm really trying to be more mindful about other people and understanding that you can still be you without like dimming your light while still being respectful and mindful of others. And I think that's on maturity, really, like just growing up and being mature, because yeah, I was definitely immature for many years. Been together since we were 15 and 16, moved to Australia when we were 19 and 20.
I was 20.
Best decision ever, I reckon.
Yeah,
Fucked around heaps of years.
Definitely don't regret it.
But we've had so much life experience here.
Oh, I love Australia.
Yeah. And I think too, for me, like moving here, because in New Zealand, unconsciously, I was aware that there was this sense of being held down, being held back in the environment that I was in. And so I just had this pull that I wanted to move to Australia. And I ended up saying to Kim, like, because he didn't really want to come, he was questioning it. And I was like,
I wasn't really ready to come, like.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm leaving. So you could either come or not. And yeah, thankfully you came, obviously, in your own time. But yeah, still you came. And I just think like...
The decision was made a little bit easier though, because all my friends were over here.
Yeah.
And then at the same time...
And your sister.
Yeah, my sister was here as well. And at the same time, like, Steve's leaving. My best mate, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going as well. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, so it's like me and your best friend moving to live with your sister. And leaving.
They kind of gave me no option. Oh, well, looks like I'll leave too. Came over and haven't really looked back, you know, like...
Love it. I've only really thought about looking back since having kids, really. But what I was going to say about that was, yeah, Australia has really allowed me the opportunity to really get to know myself. Like, I feel like I never have had that opportunity to sit with myself and figure out like who I am, like what's true for me, and what am I holding on to that's not even mine, like what beliefs, standards, behaviors, all of these things am I holding on to or doing or living out in my everyday life that has been like given to me or pushed on me, rather than like that's actually the true essence of who I am. And so I feel like that's probably the biggest reason why I have such a tie being here in Australia, because there's still this sense of like I've built myself here in a way that I'm proud of. You know, as I said, the person I was back in New Zealand, I'm not proud of. Some aspects, yes, but there's a lot of things that I'm not proud of that time of my life. And so, yeah, being able to come here and also being in Australia, I don't know, it was like, it's cool to be where you're from in Australia, you know, like, because what is Australian anyway? Like, unless you're First Nations Australian, which most of us aren't, so where are you actually from? And people celebrate that here. I feel like back home, and this is just my experience from a disconnected point of view, it's not really like that. Yeah, I didn't grow up being necessarily proud or even knowledgeable in any of that stuff. So coming to Australia where it was like cool to be Māori, you know, that's probably been my favourite part about being here in Australia. And yeah, I do get nervous about ever having to move back to New Zealand and being put in my old environment, old circles, old spaces, and knowing that it's going to be easier for me to slip into my old habits rather than have others try and slip into my new habits, you know. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm like so locked in here, because I love who I've created myself to be here. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
At the end of the day, like, the way I look at it is like, if I was to choose to move back to New Zealand, I know that it'll all work out perfectly fine, and I'll probably end up loving it just as much as I love Australia, because ultimately I don't think it's where you live what's going to make you genuinely happy, you know. It's more comes from a bit of more of an inner place of
that's true,
your self-worth and all of the rest of that. Australia allows you the space to figure out who you are. Like, my experience from living in New Zealand, like, it was absolutely beautiful, but man, it was just like everyone was stuck like in this rut, you know. Like, it's like they knew that they couldn't get any better. It's like they knew they couldn't do better. It was like they had accepted the fact that we're just gonna work this shitty job and eat this shitty food and do the same shitty routine over and over again, and we're just gonna drink in the weekends, smoke crack every second day, smoke bongs all day, every day, because it's the only way to cope with your
The
depression.
reality.
You know, like, and that's the thing, it's like everyone's depressed, but everyone just deals with it differently. So like that was the environment that I was like constantly surrounded in, you know. And obviously everyone in New Zealand, that's definitely not their experience, you know. Like majority of them are probably the polar opposite, but for me that was how it was, you know. So I guess like when coming to Australia, we had like this completely fresh canvas to create a whole new reality where people around you weren't smoking meth, you know, like people weren't constantly trying to drink and party and
Yeah.
all the rest of
Now
it, you
we
know,
were the
like,
ones doing that.
yeah, it was actually quite weird because we came here and people were like, do you want to come for a walk up a mountain, you know, and it was like,
Yeah.
what, you know, like, do you want to come watch a sunrise? Oh fuck, what fucking sunrise? Like, well, I want to wake up before the sun, like, that
Yeah,
was
so
like,
true.
now, you know, like, I love that stuff, but
And I think like you touched on an important kind of topic there too, is like something that came to mind for me was, yeah, we moved here to Australia from those environments of just being, I guess, okay. I can't think of the word, being okay with being like sold short on life pretty much. And we
it's
moved
reality.
here and it was like the jobs that we got gave us far more money than we'd ever had in New Zealand.
Yeah, even more time freedom.
Yeah, there was less working, but then also still for myself anyway, there was still this like sense of, yeah, depression and being unhappy. And I think that's like coincide with the blood poisoning and me getting healthier in my mind. We went vegan, you know, like we started really working on our mindset, did all that stuff with Bob Proctor. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of when I guess my mind was first ever opened up to like, wow, it doesn't have to be the way that everyone, you know, you grow up, you get a job, you work, you retire, that's it. I was now like being made aware of all these other ways that you can live your life. And so I guess that kind of started what I'm going to say, for lack of better words, is like our entrepreneurial journey. Because it was from those experiences and those moments where we were like, okay, I can't work a normal job. Like, it's just like mind fucking. And so for me, I thought I was going to have an office job my whole life, forever. Like, I thought I'd cracked the code with getting into corporate, and then realizing that I was so unhappy and I only had I only had 2 jobs in my life at that point. And I was so proud of that, like not having heaps of jobs. But I think what was really good about me, like leaving the corporate world, is that I actually went out and tried heaps of different jobs. And that's super important too, I think, not just in terms of building character, but figuring out like what you like, what you don't like. Like what there was a lot of figuring out what I don't like.
I think that's most people with going down the normal 9 to 5 job route, you know, as you find out pretty quickly what you hate to do. Yeah, I feel like over our life's journey, it's kind of pushed us to create, somehow figure out how to make money for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's showed up in various different ways as well, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've worked at so many random places. Dream World, vegan cafe,
Yeah,
vegan
I'm just
restaurant.
thinking now of like all the different ways I've tried to like make money,
Well,
legally,
yeah,
illegally.
illegally for sure. That's kind of
Um,
where I was getting to with this whole story, is like, that's when we really went on this path of like, okay, if we don't want a normal 9 to 5, and I'm not trying to say it's not okay to have a normal 9 to 5.
like it's
It's
actually like
definitely,
really good to have a
yeah,
normal nine to
and to
five.
have that stability and
But
security
if
is
it's a job
amazing.
that's like draining you constantly,
Yeah,
if it's
you
like
have to know for
if it's
yourself
making
that,
you a worse person when you go home to your family,
yes,
then it's
it's
not
not
a
the
nine
job
to
for
five
you.
job worth having. But if you
Yes,
can get a 9 to 5 where it pays you a wage that you're happy with and all your bills are covered and you can afford to look after your whānau well, have a fucking holiday here and there,
yeah, that's so
like,
more
bro,
than
you're
enough, eh?
winning. Like
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
success, you know, like
Yeah,
that's genuine success right there.
I agree.
And there's so many people that are living that life and do have these things but still feel like it's not enough. And it's just
Yeah,
like, bro, like that's more than probably 90% of the world, and it is actually enough. And that's something to actually really be proud of, you know.
absolutely.
Like what we're saying is, yeah, the 9 to 5s that are fucking you up, you know, like the ones that you know that aren't good for you.
Yeah,
It's like, because you know that, like,
yeah.
and it's
But
just
only
like,
you can know that, right? Like, only you
and
know
it's
that it's
like,
destroying your soul to
yeah,
be
like
there.
find something else that might not be, it might pay less or whatever, but
But you're
it's,
happy.
yeah, well, even if you're not happy, like it's just like you're a little bit more sane, you know, like you're
A
not
little bit less
depressed,
stressed.
so you've got like a little bit more energy to try and figure something else out, you know,
Yes.
like,
And that was kind of the point that we were at. Like, okay, we need to be trying to figure out other ways to make money. And we did a little bit of like Kangen and a little bit of like network marketing and obviously those didn't work out. Yeah, then we started, I guess, looking into illegal options. Well, I wouldn't say me, but you. And what was your like thought process on that? Because surely you weren't thinking like, I'm going to become rich from selling drugs.
No, no. Well, that's the thing. Is like, one, in my eyes, they're not drugs. You know, like the only drugs I ever sold were natural medicines. You
Yeah.
know, which
Can grow from the ground.
were cannabis and mushrooms. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like I never sold any
Just to make
drugs.
that
You know,
clear.
like I only sold things that were growing in nature. And I feel like, yeah, I definitely didn't get into it for money. I more got into it as like it was a genuine hobby. Like I liked gardening, and I genuinely was passionate about these medicines, you know, because of their benefits and the healing properties that I had not only experienced for myself but seen other people experience, you know, like people that I knew myself, you know, not just fucking documentaries and things, you know, like I had seen real world cases of these plants being fucking super beneficial. So in my eyes, I genuinely got into working with those medicines
Out of passion.
out of a love and respect out of those plants. And
With a
it
sense
just
of
so
making
happens to be that in this world that we live in, these plants have a monetary value. You know, like, so for me it was free, like, but for other people that wanted it, there was an exchange.
Yeah.
You know, so
And I think we're going to leave it there because that is a whole nother story that I think requires kind of its own episode as well. Otherwise, we'll
that
be
was
here
a
forever.
whole era of my life, you know,
Yeah.
like which starts at a lot younger age, you know, so moved on from that life.
Yeah. Thank
And,
God.
I'm still super blessed for that time in my life because it actually allowed all of these things to be created.
Yeah.
And it led me on to
Being
better
here
and
right
new
now.
approved paths that I'm super passionate and super proud of now as well, you know,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
I can't say that I was proud of,
Those.
wow, in some way,
Actually, you were.
fuck, actually, I was pretty proud, to be honest, like,
Yeah, you were
man, I
actually.
was
I'm
super
thinking of the
passionate about
photos
it, you
like.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
But,
definitely were proud.
yeah, I feel like, we will leave that for a whole nother episode. Yeah, much love, Anu.